All right, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. All right, let's get it up the chat line. Giannis, I saw what you said. I've downloaded it a few times. It wants to link to everything I have. I don't want anything linking to everything I have. All I want it to do is link to one thing. So maybe you can help me through it to stop it from trying to link to everything I have. I'm just not very comfortable with all the things I have on all my computers to be linked to something that can try to tune into it, look at it, share. I'm very glad to link it to one thing and we can communicate, but I don't have any interest in, being an open book to the internet. So that's where we stand right now with it. Okay, so I downloaded it last week. I keep on fighting with it, constantly trying to stop it from linking to anything and everything I have. And I've tried to put desktop up on it, and I'm sure that it works. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. All it wants to do is link to everything I have. And it's like the moment I open up Facebook on something, it's trying to link to it at the same time over and over again. So, I guess I'll put it on a machine that doesn't have Facebook or Meta, and maybe that'll leave it alone. So, let's see what else we got going on here this morning. So I can text you. Well, you know what? Text me. See if you can contact me through it now. There's one up there that says Doc, just Doc, and you have my number. And if you don't, I'll send it over to you right now. And we can try seeing if it'll function during the trading day here. What else is functioning during the trading day? Look at that, the dollar index. Why every time? Let's see. Right. Every time the where is that? Speaking of which, every time they tell us that interest rates are dropping, right? Which normally means dollar go down, pairs trades go up. But we don't get that action. I'm very confused by that. Matter of fact, what's really weird, you want to talk about weird, look at this upwardly slope. See this upwardly slope with the dollar index, right? And then we go and put the 30-year bond up. And the thing has an upwardly sloped the same way. And it's like, what in the world is going on with the fundamentals this time? I mean, this is obviously a combination of, let's move this over so you can see this. So there's your upwardly slope right there on the dollar index. And here is the upwardly slope on the interest rates. Now remember, as interest rates, or let's put it this way, as the price of this, the bond goes up. The price of the bond goes up. Interest rates are dropping. Well, if interest rates are dropping, why are people buying dollars? So it's obviously that, Mrs. Yellen, our secretary or, finance, minister of finance or / secretary of treasurer, is flooding the marketplace with all kinds of bonds because they keep on borrowing money like it's all for free. The world should be very upset with the Democrat Party here in the United States. They treat the rest of the world like second-class citizens all the time. They act like, well, we can borrow forever. We can spend forever. The bigger question is, who are they bribing in all these foreign nationals, foreign countries? Who are they bribing? The money isn't obviously making it to the people. So who are they bribing, So we must have this distortion. And as you can see here, there's the upwardly slope, right? Upwardly slope there, upwardly slope here, which means interest rates are dropping. Why is the dollar index trying to rise off of that? That's the bigger question. They obviously have a lack of trust. It's obvious that there's a lack of confidence on the foreign nations. That's what the problem is. They're not willing to buy their currencies, and they're buying dollars. Now, why are they willing to go and buy dollars or dollar-denominated bonds and bills? They must be looking at the Trump victory. I mean, that's the only thing. This is the only thing I can figure out is that they're looking at it and they're saying, oh, Trump's going to win. The economy's going to explode in a positive direction. Oh, it's the markets are going to go up, and we want to be invested. And that is literally the only thing I can figure that's going on. It's the combination of Yellen flooding the world with bonds and the world willing to buy them. That's the amazing part. And then last month, I saw out of the Federal Reserve that they said, the biggest buyers right now are foreigners. And it's, well, sometimes I have my doubts about that. I think it's just like the Chinese when they bought through Belgium. Sometimes I think the Federal Reserve is buying through other countries. In other words, they're moving money in and out of foreign countries or other countries so much nowadays that they can get away with buying, $500 million here and, 300 million there, and the next thing you know is, oh, look at that, foreign investors, when in fact it's probably us buying through. And we don't get reports about the individual funds in foreign lands or we do see central banks sometimes. We get reports on central banks buying U.S. bonds or doing the repo, borrowing overnight. We can see that at the Fed window. But after that, it becomes a very skeptical, very hidden marketplace. And so that's where I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, this doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. Why am I not seeing start now? I guess start now. I see the chat line, but I don't see. Why am I? Let's try this one more time. Okay, here we go. Looks like I don't see my screen up on the chat line. Done. There you go. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay. So that is the gist of it all. And I look at it and I go, geez, why is this capital coming in? A, they're convincing foreign investors to come in, or B, they're buying like the way the Chinese do. They go through other countries and pretend that they're not buying U.S. bonds when in fact they're buying U.S. bonds. It's the most liquid. It's the most active, product out there. And we've talked about what traders always, talk about on trading floors over the decades. And as you don't want to try to trade in something that's not liquid. You don't want to be trapped into something. Hence, all the talk that comes out of Beijing about, how they want to be the number one currency in the world and they want to be, the leading economy in the world. And at the same time, only about 2.5% of the world trades their currency. So, you got, there's verbal, the verbal side of it. Everybody's talking to, how much they want to do something, but when do they really do it? And that's really what it comes down to us here. So the only way we can, we go through two things tell us what's going on. The algorithms tell us more than anything else. And the second thing is that we find news reports, like money not going to different countries or going into different investments in foreign countries or domestic countries, domestically here. That's the second shoe, or I guess you could say, or the second way of looking at things. Also, combined with that is we look and we try to understand, where money is coming from to buy certain products. Now we know that that BlackRock has like $7.5 trillion in their funds, and we know that even bigger than that is John Vogel's old company. What was it called? I can't think of it. It's out of Pennsylvania. It has over $9.5 trillion going into stocks and funds and so forth like that. Not Fidelity. Fidelity's up in Boston. Let me just find the name of it. because a lot of people think BlackRock is number one, and it's not. It's John Vogel's old company. John, he passed away about 6 years ago. Fun. Not now. Let's see. Where is it at? I can't think of it, but it's out of Pennsylvania, and they have they have enormous assets. So money comes in through things like that. In other words, they're just they're constantly reinvesting and keeping a balanced fund. And so they buy stocks and so forth, not because of not because they see something moving in it, in it, but what it is that they see they're keeping the portfolios balanced. That's what it really comes down to. Let me see if I can find his name. I want to say Fidelity. Let's see. Let's see if that's it. I can't find. I'll find it later on, and it'll pop up. If I see it every so often, but you're talking about just right there alone. Just those two entities is over 50. It's $16 trillion. So that pumps up things. The game is constantly played where they try to hide what is really being done. What is really what is really being invested in. Today they were trying to take apart the inflation, and they try to make it sound like it's going away when in fact the inflation is really still growing. It's just not growing as fast. Vanguard, that's it. The Vanguard funds up in Valley Forge. So and it was created by a fellow named John Vogel, and he passed away just recently in the last, I guess about last 6 years. But the Vanguard funds, that has $9.5 trillion, and all they're doing is keeping their indexes balanced. So, it's not like they're managing the money per se. Like let's buy Nevada. They're not doing that. They're instead, if Nevada is in an index, they're buying it and keeping it balanced. And that's the way it usually works. All right. From there, I guess what we should do is we should go over and take a look at the individual currencies, unless someone has a question about anything particular. It's and we can take a look and see. Even before that, we can go take a peek at the stock market, see what the stock market is up to today. Oh, there you go. Yano says, bloody meta. I had a list of instruments to look at. As usual, stocks, since dollar just waits for the Fed tomorrow. Yeah, well, they're going to say nothing. I mean, they're going to say something. What they're going to say is they're going to make it sound like they're right around the corner from cutting rates. It's going to happen. Oh, we're going to start cutting, and it'll be cutting. Cut. That's all they like. We're waiting. What is that? That'll be August, right? So August and September and October. So 8 months ago, they came out and they said they were going to cut rates going into December of 2023. And we've been waiting ever since. And here we are 8 months later, and they've never cut once. So, it's that story that goes on. So you want to see VIX? Let's take a look at VIX. Someone bought 21 calls expecting it to move higher. 21 calls or 21,000 calls? And how do you know they weren't closing? Were they closing? Opening? Could you see if when they bought the calls, if it was closing or opening? 21 strike. Ah, okay. Dated 2108. So August in Yeah, so you're talking at the end of the month, the 21 call. It's not a bad. How much did they pay for it? And how many did they buy? Just 21 of them? Hmm. Maybe they need to protect something. You never know what the other side of the trade is. If you can't see what all that account does, then 21 calls being bought means nothing. If it's 21,000 calls, it means it's an institution. Yeah. In other words, are they long? Are they short the futures? Are they doing a VWAP or slash a pairs trade of some form? You can't see the other side. Are they? Did anybody make a trade in the VIX Tech 100s where they doing a pairs trade of some form? That's why just one side never tells you the story. And if they're buying open, long, then they may be short somewhere else. 0.64. 8,500 contracts. Okay, so it sounds like it was an institution to start off with. So they're just hedging they could be, by buying long, they can be protecting the short premium they already are in. That's what that says. And you got to go, when you're buying further out in these European options, that's another problem with them, is that since they can't be exercised early, they are obviously they are deeply hedging something way out. In other words, they're hedging something in case it explodes. That is usually the answer to that whole story. So in other words, as far as they're concerned, they may hope that the 8,500 loses money. Can you imagine that? You're buying 8,500 calls at 0.64, hoping that they go out at zero. And then they sleep better at night knowing that they're at enormous risk of volatility. And so they say, okay, well, look, I'm going to step up and buy the 64s. I know I need like the 19s or the 20s, but I'm not willing to lose that much money on the position. So if it explodes to 21, the gamma, they only may need 5,000, but the gamma of 8,500 would make it like a straddle of some form. So we don't know what they're straddling. Sure, let's look at the VIX. Let's see what they're doing this morning here. There is, where is it at? Let's open it up. I think I'm going to paste the VIX I have on there in here that I use on weekends. Since it's a lagging indicator, I don't usually pay attention to it too much. I can already see volatility expanding and contracting without it. Okay. Now let's just make a copy of it so we have it up on always having access to it. And we go like that, and then file and paste, and there we go. And I'll close that. There we are. And then we'll go over to here and pop it open. Right there. Activate. There we are. And so you can see it went into the sell, I guess it was yesterday. Yeah, it went into the sell yesterday. And it's sitting dead there. It's at 16.55. And losing 0.64, 64 cents, 8,500 times. It may be a throwaway trade in case something big happens. I think that's the way we would describe it. You can see it's a third week in a bond. Oh, you can't see any of this. Let's do this. Let's go over to here and show it to you. Mousy right there. So you can see here, went into the sell yesterday. Let's steal this sell right there and move it over. Right there. Went into the sell yesterday. It's unchanged today. Still in the weekly buy. That's the only concern I'm watching at the moment. I would say more than anything else. In fact, what I want to do is I want to save this too. Export it. There we are. So I would say that if anything, because of the size, it's an institution, and the institution is basically protecting themselves. I would say that's that. I don't look at it as bullish. I look at it as now. In other words, if it was 200, I would respect 200 more than 200 or 300. An amateur, even though $64 10 times is $640. Okay, and then so that's $6,400 on 100. So yeah, they're putting out a lot of money, but we don't know what they're short. They could be short an enormous amount of volatility, thinking that this, in other words, I think it was last week we passed that point in the market. This time, it's at this time of the year, every year, a week after 4th of July, the market's slow, the volatility kind of contracts. Okay, but instead, what we've seen is that the volatility is not contracting, and the markets are not slowing. Okay. So in other words, instead of being up or down 50 or 100 points, we're seeing the Dow go up or down 3 and 4 and 500 points and 600 points. So we're seeing some action in there. So if you're a fund and you are short premium, a volatility, if you're short volatility premium, one of the ways to protect yourself is to go out and buy something like this. Put out was it 85? 100 times is $6,400, and 1,000 times is $64,000. And then you multiply that by 8. You're talking about $500,000. $64,000. Times that. Sounds like a fund. It sounds like a fund trying to hedge some of its short volatility premium. And so they were probably banking on the idea that the year would be relatively normal, even with a presidential year. In other words, the markets would go into a lazy state, and we're not out of that pocket yet. The pocket goes into the second week of August. That's the thing, is that normally markets are dead until the second week of August, and then they start to get active. Now, maybe that fund in particular, trying to hedge its volatility premium, is saying, I'm not going to be sitting around. I'll put out $500,000 just in case. They could be, $500,000 is not that demonstrative to a fund that has $3 or $4 or $5 billion invested. They may be selling. Maybe they thought, I'm going to sell some calls in early July. I think I'll sell some calls and try to take that premium in through that dead pocket that occurs every year. Every year it occurs. It even slows down my algorithm normally. But this year my algorithm's not backing off. It's been consistent because we've been volatile. And when we're volatile, my algorithm loves volatility. It loves it. It lives for it. So, that is probably what that 85 the 8,500 calls have been bought for. All right. So now let's see where are we at here. So that is that's the nature of it all, and that's where we stand with it. I guess you could say more than anything else. And that's why we're seeing. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. There we go. So that's why you're seeing that trade, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they are enormously bearish or betting on a crash. It's not necessarily that whatsoever. Especially going out, they're going past the danger zone, which is nice. 21. So they're going to the expiration. That's what that is too. They've gone to the expiration, because I imagine those options expire on the 21st of August. And what their risk is probably all the way out to the 21st of August. And that's how that works, which is kind of cool, you know. NVDA. Let's see what the NVDA is up to this morning here. Let's see. NVDA. Open Sesame. There we are. And put it up on here too at the same time. NVDA. There it is on the beta. Still moving down. You know, pressuring down. Still in a daily sell. Still in a weekly sell. But it doesn't seem to be going anywhere in particular. You know, I would imagine it'll support the you know, around the century area into the 90s if it got pushed lower for some type of economic situation. And then, you know, they're starting to realize. I can tell you that there's a story roaming around this morning. Meta, its AI, is claiming that Mr. Trump they didn't try to assassinate Mr. Trump. So when you have AIs come out and do foolish things, people lose confidence in them. And so, and then the same person testing it said, did anybody get shot? Or what happened? They said on that date. What happened on that date in that town there? And they said one person was killed, 2 people were injured. That's what it said. So in other words, when you have AI being inefficient and not reporting accurate information, it puts a little shake-up into the AI. Matter of fact, you should. I was watching some analysts over the last 24 hours trying to defend that. You know, they were like, no, you can't just because there's a bad program. And then Meta said that they were going to repair it, and 12 hours later, it's still saying the same thing. So, you know, what's going to happen is, you know what AI really is, and I keep on trying to remind people here, it's not a consciousness. It's not an artificial intelligence. What it really is it's a very intelligent search engine. That's all it is. And so it's not let's put it this way. It's not going to be able to explain before we do. It's not going to be a Skynet where it's outthinking us. Okay? All it does is it's a very, very good advanced search engine. And sometimes it's accurate. Sometimes it's not. And these stocks that are betting on it, betting on the idea that they're going to be growing, just shows you the level of desperation in the financial markets in general, looking for, the money has piled into these things, and you know that would be a good reason to buy $500,000 worth of puts. You know, that would be a very good reason to buy $500,000 worth of puts. They may be short AI volatility. In other words, they were out selling AI volatility, and it's not backing off as big as they're hoping, and so they said, okay, to heck with this. You know, if I buy $500,000 worth of calls in the VIX, you know, it could offset in case they go on a tear again on the upside. And you know what? If I have to guess anything, I would say it's something of that nature. It's probably volatility on the AI side, solely because a lot of people were hearing the story of how Meta AI is going haywire, and we saw what happened. Remember the last time when Google's AI started saying, it was something that had happened? It was political, what happened. And what did it do? It went out there and started saying something totally the opposite. And people were like, wait a minute here. This is not brilliant. This is false. So he wanted to scratch his ear? Oh, yeah. yeah. What can you... And also at the same time, there's I think there's testimony going on today with the acting director of the what do they call it, the Secret Service. The one that resigned. She got out of there before she got in real trouble. Can't lie forever. sooner or later, the long arm of the law catches up with you, and it was going to catch up with her. So, all right. Where do we go from here? All right, so we did the NVDA. Let's get over and take a look at the euro this morning. There is the euro. You can see it's moving down again. Another day of moving down. It doesn't seem to be. I guess what's the best way to describe that? It doesn't seem to be backing off. We're in those sells, and you can see look how confused the market really is. The longer term view is it's going to go up in value. Look at the weekly. The weekly keeps on telling you that. It goes into a sell. And you can get long it when it goes into the buy like it did here, but now it's in the sell. You can't get long it because in the sell you can't get short it. Sorry about that. You can't get short it because we're in a weekly buy. So if you're hedging a position, it's one thing. If you're leaning up against something, you're neutralizing yourself. You can use it then, but you can't just speculate on it because right now they're not that happy about the selling dollars, which again amazes me since we have the great clown show going on in Washington, D.C. as it is. So, it's never been more clownish than it is now. All right, let's take a look at, what is it, right there. Let's take a look at the cable. See what the cable's up to. There it is. And you can see cable, it's been the same way. And these are the two major currencies in the planet. The euro is the second largest economy in the planet. I know. Everybody wants to pretend that China is the second largest one. But it's not. It's the European Union. It's over 21 trillion. And when it comes to, and they don't have a fixed currency. Let's put it this way: they are paired up in many different ways. There's no doubt that the euro is influenced by its central bank, just like the dollar is influenced by the American central bank. But obviously, the Chinese yuan is a fixed currency to the dollar. That's another thing. If you really want to take over that position as number one, you can't have a currency that's fixed to the dollar. That's another problem with it. It's like, and we don't have media, we don't even have AI that will speak the truth. I'm sure if you Googled what's the second largest economy in the world, they'll blow off the European Union and make it sound like it's China. Just a wild guess there. If anybody wants to do it and let us know, would love to know it. I myself don't care. I don't live and die by the AIs. That's the reason why. I live and die by the algorithms here. Our own algorithms, our own programming. So, all right, and then from there, we slip and slide over to the inflation fighting team there, and that is Switzerland. I was surprised that they lost they got the title of the most expensive Big Mac in the world. That was a little surprising, but that tells you why they were fighting inflation, why they took inflation seriously back in December of last year. They realized they must have been following the Big Mac indicator also. They realized that things were getting out of hand, and they wanted to cut it short before the world saw it and had problems with it. They were rallying. There's no doubt about it. The Swiss was rallying. It was all the way down to mid 83s, or high 83s. Either way, that was pretty hot and heavy coming down from 101. Could you imagine if the Great Experiment made a move like that? Wouldn't they be so excited? Wouldn't they just be happy? To see their currency drop 12 or 15%. It's that currency every day goes up or down 12 or 15%. I think, honestly. Let's see. If it goes to 36 from 35, that's not. That's like 3%. Well, wouldn't Turkey be happy if their currency would drop 12 or 13% over a same time period? It didn't. Unfortunately, it seems to have gone up about that price. So, the Great Experiment, and former Prime Minister President Erdogan don't know what's he doing now. He wants to drive everybody crazy about it, threatening to attack other countries and so forth. Give me a break. Couldn't fight your way out of a paper bag. All right. From there, and yeah, this is the second day too in a buy when it comes to the Swiss right there. But you can see it's in a weekly sell for a bunch of weeks. So that's a good sign. This is a good sign. Long-term money realizes they're doing the right thing. You see it's below the manifold here. Right there, that manifold right there, the yellow line or orange line or whatever you want to call that, golden line. So, and the histogram's even underneath it. So it does say that they are doing the right things and money believes it. That's what it tells you. More than anything else, money believes it. And that's the most important thing of all, is you want investors to believe in the central banks. Believe. Being saved by the central banks. Believe. Ho! All right. From there, we go over to the yen. It was very, it's in a weekly sell. Let's put it that way. I was a little disappointed to see it go into the daily buy there yesterday. I was like, oh, God, can't they give these poor people in Japan? And now, what's interesting is that it did okay on the Big Mac indicator. Tokyo was much lower than Switzerland, which was kind of a surprise to me. I was still stunned. The Big Mac went up 44% in Switzerland over the year. That's a big jump. And guess where it's the cheapest? Or not the cheapest, but one of the cheaper places where it actually went down in value. Beijing. Not bad, huh? So they're that's because it's fixed to the dollar. Their currency's fixed to the dollar, so their currency reflects the inflation that way. All right. From there, we march over to the Great Disaster or the Great Experiment, whatever one you want to think it is. Here it is. There trading at, look at that. It did in the end get into the buy there yesterday. How about that? But today the central bank is pressing it down. But what they can't do is that long-term money, they can't stop it from being protected on the upside. They're still concerned that it's going to go find another all-time high like it did 2 weeks ago. And, they went after it yesterday. It popped up a little bit today. It's flirting with the sell again. It's underneath at the moment. But the weekly is not taking it too serious. That 34.5 area, that bottom end of the two boxes here that we follow, right there. They're not. Money is not convinced that things are getting hunky-dory. Actually, it's the opposite. They're basically saying, "Uh-oh, President Aragon is doing it again. He's out there experimenting." Oh boy. It'd be better if he'd do it with his own money instead of the country of Turkey, Cut him a break. Cut the people of Turkey a break and just do it with the money you have in your own pocket. Don't torture the poor people of Turkey. Watching their currency go from 1 to 36. Ugh, what a brutality that is. It taxes the poor more than anything else. Inflation taxes the poor. And it's a really bad thing, Yeah, scratch his ear. All right. From there, we go to South Africa. And it's been in that upwardly mode. And we know that gold... Right. Where's gold? And we know gold, right there, has been in a downwardly mode. It bottomed Friday. It's still in a sell. But today it's trying to get into the buy, which is kind of cool. Let's export that. Export right there. There we are. So let's export that there. Okay. Then we slide over to silver. And there's the silver. The silver, that's been in a downwardly slope, just like the South African rand is in an upwardly slope. Yeah, doing that same gig, and doesn't want to let go. And we don't really know. We don't. We don't see the news all the time of what's going on in South Africa. They like to hide what they're doing. The media tries not. They're a big ANC fan, so they're not going to tell you the issues that they have. They're just going to tell you what calamity somewhere else is, to get people away from the news. And then we go over and we look at copper. Copper's pressing down. This to me is a story about China. When I watch copper, I always think I'm looking at China's economic health. And so as copper is dropping, I have to assume all those numbers that I see once in a while, they hide a lot of the China news. But when you see it, when you're going bankrupt in your major international corporation, and we've seen a lot of their international corporations and domestic corporations go into receivership. And so that's why we see the pressure on the copper. And then last but not least, we dance our way over to the platinum. You can see the platinum is trying to lift. Now, this morning, it was playing with the sell side. We can get rid of that now. Look at that. It's the we think I just think this is the most dangerous short in the world. But more than that is that the platinum, is not able to get going. It's for many decades it always led gold in price. Now it's trading under 60% below gold, which reminds me of zero interest rates. In other words, it's some type of manifestation of the central bank. They always got to play games. It's got to be a game constantly all the time. They got to keep the spin going. We've told you why they need to do this. They need to protect themselves and the government from defaults. In other words, the insurance corporation would never, ever be able to deal with all the defaults if they, basically allowed the markets to function without their influence. So they keep the markets perked up, acting like, like everything's okay. Don't worry about it. We're all good here. That type of thing. So, all right, now we jump over to the energy sector. Crude. There's crude. Still moving down. I like to always call that the Donald Trump trade. That's what that is. They know that when he becomes president, he is going to straighten this whole circus act out. And so that's what that is. That's the Donald Trump trade. As you see oil lower, it's just telling you that that's where it's being pressured. That's the pressure on it. Let's see, where is it at? I thought I saved it. I just thought I saved it. All right, let's try this. Let's go down to there. Okay, so now from there, we go over to natural gas. Oh, and let me try saving that again too. Export. There we are. All right, now let's go over to natural gas. Right there. It's below the $2 target. Oh, no, it's back up it again. It jumped below the $2 target a couple days ago, I guess it was, or Friday and Monday or something of that nature. And, it's been holding up pretty well and pretty impressive, too. So we we see the different energy sectors starting to roll over, and that's the speed and velocity of the volatility. In other words, it's diminishing, and we're losing that situation there. So. Let me just double check something on the oil again right there, and we'll take a look at Brent. Export. Bing, bing, bing. There we are. It's around here somewhere. Okay, it must be on the desktop. So, let's see. Let's choose that. Nope, not that. Right there. Here is heating oil. This is the most used product of the here and the world in many ways. The heating oil is also jet fuel. It is what else is it? It's for the trucks. In other words, the trucks the diesel engine trucks run on it, and at the same time we use it for fuel to heat our houses. A third or a quarter of the United States does. So it's a combination of all of that at this point. Now let's see. I'm getting closer to getting back to what we had before, where we could see the weeklies and dailies on the different indexes, and Brent. We're getting closer to getting that. I just have to get over there to get a software that'll take care of it, and then we'll straighten that out. Let's take a look at it through the eyes of Yahoo. Since I can't get on J4X, and I do miss J4X. Let's take a look at Brent. Where's it at? Brent. Right there. There it is. And let's tune you into that screen. And as you can see, this is the daily intraday. If we go and look at the 3-month right here, see it's doing the same thing. It's coming down to the lows here. And I call that the Trump trade. That's what's going on there. And then again on the beta, you can see the same thing here with the crude oil, diving down. The weekly on a third, it's definitely a second week. The pressure is on it, and I guess they're going to go try to challenge the low 70s. I think that's a little too fast. I think in many ways markets like to see confirmation. They want to see constant confirmation of fact, not just speculation. So it's making it very hard to knock it down below the 70s, because they're waiting. Let's put it this way: it will see below 70, I'm sure, the night that Mr. Trump is declared the winner. It'll go blowing through there. I could see us down in the 40s, the high 30s, and Mr. Trump says that he can get 3 more million barrels of oil online within 1 million more barrels of online in 24 to 48 hours, and so that's 2 days. And so he says that he can get 3 million more barrels online within the first 3 months. And so that will have an explosive impact on inflation. It'll go crushing down. I mean, it will go crushing down. And that's really what it comes down to at this point. And that's the end of that story. All right. Any other questions out there, traders? And Janusz, in a few minutes after this is over with, we're going to try to communicate, right? Right. All right. Let's just take a couple. Let's look around at some of these stock indices. Let's see what's going on around the world. Uh, let's when we're talking oil, here is the Saudi Arabian energy company. And you can see that's heading down, into the 27s. Again, that's taking out that low. It looks like at this point they're starting to really put some pressure on that. That's why they sold $100 billion worth. They knew it was like a Trump trade. They offered $100 billion more, and that thing will. I'm sure it pays a nice dividend and so forth. It's an income fund more, I think, than anything else. As much as you see the price go flying up, it is an income fund. So in other words, it'll pay a good dividend no matter what, and people will grow out. If it doesn't see $30 again for a long time, they'll make that money back in income. Let's see. These stocks, PATA, PARA, and RIVN and EW. Could you show weekly and daily directions on them? Most definitely. Most definitely. Let's do it over here on the beta, because it'll be easier to throw it up on it. So let's do this products right there. While I'm doing that, I'm going to move the screen over to short-term stock market so you can enjoy watching the ticks. And we'll go back to that. And you can see they're lifting that's the intraday. Let's just show you the intraday ticking away. You can enjoy that for a little while. In the beginning when I used to do Ducascopy, we used to have a camera on the euro, and you could use the mathematics live right there for the whole hour. And it was always fun. Let's see, add a product. Let's add all three of them. This way, if you want them, they can come. Let's see, so PARA, stock. Let's see, add. Next one is RIVN. RIVN. Is that Revlon? Shift. RIVN. Stock. And what was that last one? EW. EW looks familiar. We must have looked at that before. I'm going to call it ETF. Like that. Now, let's go to me and turn them on. Alrighty. Now we go to users, and there. All right. And let's go find them and see what they're doing. And let's switch from API. Switch from API. And switch from API. There we are. All right. Now, let's turn one on. Let's do the first one, the PARA. Why isn't doing that? Let's try this. Maybe because it's not capitaled. Let's try that. All right, let's go back. Let's try this one. There is RIVN. And it's been in a weekly buy for 6 weeks now. It's flirting with it's been in a daily sell for a few days, just like NVDA is. Now let me go back and see if we can fix that other one. Let's do this. Throw it in the trash can. Yes. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Let's just double check it. PARA. Let's add it again. Caps. PARA. Ooh. Let's see if this does it. Turn that off. And let's see if it'll light up this time. There we go. That's also been in a daily sell for a few days here now. And on the weekly side, it's been in a weekly buy for 3 weeks. It's been holding up 4 weeks. Right there too, I think. No, that's a minus. That's a plus. So it's been in a weekly buy for 3 weeks now on that PRAR. Let's see. Could you show weekly? Oh, you know what? Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Let me go back to them. Sorry about that. There we are. So there's PARI right there. It's been in the sell for a couple days. It's been in a weekly buy for 3 weeks since back in here. So is that today? That is yesterday. That's Monday. So it's been in a weekly buy there. Went into the weekly buy here, I guess right there. Kind of fumbled its way up, but it's been in the daily sell now for the last 2 days right here. So maybe they're going to press it down. It's getting shorter. That'll be interesting to see how it's looking today. Let's go over and look at that RIVN. There it is right there. And you can see it's pushed into a sell yesterday or 2 days ago on Friday. And then it jumped back into the daily. It's trying to jump into daily buy. We got a red dot up there at the same time. And at the same time, we're in a weekly buy now for 6 full weeks. So, like, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, 5 week. Went into the weekly buy back in here somewhere. So, and then last but not least, we'll go check out. Where is it at? Right there. Now, they put a. Oh, what did they do? They beat that up on last Friday. And it's in a sell. And it wasn't a buy going into last Friday. What they have, news or something like that? And it closed in a weekly sell last week, and it's in there now. So, alrighty. Oh, I heard something ding. Do it again. I did hear something ding, but I didn't pay attention, so do it again. Let's see. Let me check my phone. Yep, the phone did it again. Now, the bigger question is, where is it? Private? It's dinging. Now the question is, where is it dinging? Let's see. All right, I'm going to cut out of here, and you and I can play with this, Janos. But it did ding. My phone is dinging, so I got to figure out where the message is coming in, and I can respond back to it. All right, this is Doc from North America. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, my Dukascopy friends. Later, later. That's a rap song. That's a rap one of the cowboy. Rap, rap, rap. All right, over and out. Ta-ta. See you tomorrow on Happy to Hump Day.